Hi everyone, welcome back for those returning and welcome to those that are new. My name is Paula from PSE and Creations, and today's video is a requested video. I made a video a while back showing a flip through of this 1972 sewing pattern junk journal that I made, a single signature. And in the video I did mention that I would think about going back and making a video on how I made the cover. Again, I'm not reinventing anything. I'm sure this already has been shown by others, but I'm just going to show how I made this cover. A few people requested me making the video, so I'm going to go ahead and do it because I did have fun making it. So, when you watch a video, this is my philosophy at least. You take from that video, you learn, and you may adjust and make something your own. So I hope that you do that, or you just do exactly as I did it, which I thought was very simple. So to make this single signature junk journal, I will pin the flip through of this video up in the corner or in the description box. I'm not sure which one just yet because I'm not the best at pinning things. So yeah, but I used one of these envelopes. I acquired a box of these at a flea market probably 3-4 years ago. I think I've used two. So I have a lot, which I should make more of, but they measure 10 by 13. Obviously, we don't want the whole height. We're okay if we fold it in half because the width then is actually, well, it's a little over 6 inches. So it'd be like 6¼ right? Or 6½, sorry, because that equals 13. Okay, so, but the first thing that I did, because the sewing pattern, so here's two things, right? So if you're okay with the orange showing, then you just go straight into the next step that I do. But I did not necessarily want the orange showing and the sewing pattern. I mean, I probably would have been okay just because of the pattern that I selected. I think it went pretty well. But because I don't want that, and I didn't want that when I made this one, I'm just going to follow the same steps that I did for this one here. And as you can see, like, you can't, it looks white instead of orange. But I will say that, I'll show you, I did keep a pocket, or the pocket, and if you look on the inside, it is orange. So I only painted the top portion where you can see if you're looking at it from this angle here, but when you open it, you can see the orange. So yeah, so let's go through. So what I did is I'm going to paint it first. I'm trying to think. So what I did is actually I just used this gesso. I didn't use white paint. You can use white paint, but this is what I used last time. I'm going to use it again. So this video obviously is going to be, you're going to see it all in one part. I'm going to be doing it in two parts because one, I need to paint this, and then two, I will let it dry. So let's cut the envelope to the length that we want. So the length of this journal is, apologize guys, hold on. The length of this journal is 8¼ inches. So that's what I'm going to cut this down to. And then I'm going to do my painting. I'm going to let it dry, and then via video magic, I'll be back and we will continue to assemble it. So again, I'm going to cut the length. I'm going to cut it lengthwise. Let me rephrase that. I'm going to cut it lengthwise so that it is 8¼ inches. So let me do the marks so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm over here confusing myself. So, okay, I think you can still see me in the camera. So 8¼ inches is right here. So I am simply going to cut off this piece of the envelope. So now this is what I have. This is the envelope. We're still going to keep the length. What we cut off is the height, in essence. So now you can do two things here, right? Like I said, I am going to paint it. You don't have to paint it. So two things that you can do is you can leave this top portion open and have two pockets at the top, right? Or you can either glue or sew that, right? That's up to you, however you want to do it. I will be sewing it. You can leave this as a pocket, or you can choose to close it and not have pockets at all. So in the one that I made previously, I chose to have a pocket on the side. So if we look at this journal here, this is what it looks like based on the envelope that we just cut. There's my pocket. So the envelope goes in this direction, and here's where my pocket would be. When you fold it, here's my pocket, here's my pocket. So let's go ahead, and for this one, I'm not going to do a pocket at all. I'm not going to do any pockets at all. I'm going to keep it simple. I can add pockets, bags, and stuff on the inside of this journal. I don't want to do for the cover, which that's what this video is for. I'm going to not do a pocket, but I just explained, right? So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take this and I'm going to just tape. I took the sticky off and I just pushed it down because I don't need it. Now I could glue this, but why put glue that's going to go through my sewing machine? Again, if you're not going to sew it, then glue it. Another thing that I could recommend is, since the front of it is going to be covered, right? You can just paint the edges, because the sewing pattern is in essence going to cover the majority of the front cover and back cover, right? Because that's what I did here. Sewing pattern, front pocket, pouch. So the front pouch of the sewing pattern, and then the back pouch of the sewing pattern. So it covered, right? And then I added the lace to more so cover the signature, the binding, but I also thought that the lace went well with it. So that's another thing that you can do. Just paint enough to cover. Now on the inside, because of what I did, which was use the actual patterns themselves with decoupage or Mod Podge. That's what I did for the front, for the inside. If you don't want the orange to show, then I would cover and paint the entire inside, which is what I did here. So I'm going to do that because I don't want the orange to show. So all that to say is, for whatever you choose your front and whatever you choose to be your back. Now here's another thing that you can do too, if you're feeling that you need that extra reinforcement, is you can take this extra strip, and if you wanted to, since you have the opening, you can fold it, and to get an idea of where your fold's going to be, so where your signatures are going to be sewn, where your signature is going to be sewn in, you can add this as extra reinforcement on the inside. Just, put a little bit of glue on this and then just stick it right in there. And I think that's what I'm going to do, because I like the idea of having a little bit of reinforcement on the spine. So I'm going to add some glue. If I can take the glue thing off, and I'm just using this tacky glue that the Aleene's tacky glue. I think I got it from, I think this big one I got from Walmart, but I know that you can get it other places. And I figure I'd do this before I do the painting. I guess it makes sense. Because that way it also gives this the opportunity to become reinforced. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick it in there. Again, I'm going to try to get it as centered as possible to the crease that I made. Even if it's not 100%, it's centered enough, right? Well, yeah, it's centered enough. Now I'm going to cut this off, which is the excess. And just like that, we've reinforced the spine area. You can keep this for something. I'm not going to. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it again, just so that now that additional reinforcement of the spine is folding as well. And you can see that it's slightly thicker. I hope you can see that it's slightly thicker. I'm just using this to help me bend it a little bit more. That's glue coming out. Okay, so that's good. We got a good little reinforcement. Okay. And again, I'm not worried what this looks like because this is all going to be covered. Right, this is our base. Now, if you're not going to do this if you're going to just leave this as and you're not going to do anything on top of it, you can definitely put a piece of fabric or anything right here on the inside to cover it if you wanted to. You can do, something like this. And that will cover it for you, right? All right. Let me pull this guy out. Okay, so this is the front of my journal. This is the inside of my journal. I'm going to start with the inside because I know that I want to cover that 100%. So, oh my gosh, it's not opening. I haven't used this gesso in a while, I'm not going to lie. What in the world? Oh, geez, Louise. The cover closed on me. So when it spit out inside the cover. Sorry about the noise, guys. I partly sometimes don't do videos because I'm a messy crafter. That's just how I craft, Okay, guys. So it's dry now. Here is I think you can see the inside, and here is the outside. Like I said, I'm only doing around because the cover of my pattern will be in the back of the pattern pouch will be covering this. So pick a pattern. Now, one thing I probably should have mentioned is cut the envelope. So, right, we used one of these big envelopes. That's what I used. Cut it to fit the size that makes sense for the pattern that you're going to use. Sorry, that's me. Because There are some envelope pouches, obviously, that are thinner, and it just, then you have just a little bit too much of the envelope showing. But if that doesn't bother you, then do what makes sense for you. So I'm going to use this pattern, and this is a McCall's, and it is from, it says 19, oh, I don't know if it's going to focus. Probably not. 1981. No focus? No focus. I think it's 1981. Yeah. All right. It's not focusing. Sorry. All right. So, again, I'm going to use the front and the back. So what I did previously was just cut off a sliver from each side. Now you can do it with scissors if you want. I'm just going to do this. All right. So here's our pattern. Now I will probably cut that off as well. But here's our cover front and our cover back. I'll probably cut these off too. All right. All right. So I think I'm going to just glue it down like this. And don't throw that away because you can use that for something for sure. All right, let me grab my glue. I'm just going to use a glue stick because I will be sewing. So I'm going to try this. And I'm going to try to leave a little bit. And I know I will need to obviously cut off some at the top. Make sure I'm still in frame. All right. So you can see here, I'll have to cut a little bit off and a little bit right here, but for the most part, I like how it looks. And then the back. Now the back, you see, it's shorter. Huh. Interesting. Okay. It's not a big deal. We can do something to make it look good. So here's what I'm going to do here. All right. Now, one thing I'm going to have to be careful with then is that when I sew, obviously it's not going to hit right here because there's more of a gap. So all right. So that's our outer. I'm going to cut off the excess. Okay. Oh. Okay, and then for the inside, what I did was I took some of the sewing pattern itself. Oh my gosh. Oops, sorry about the sound. It's very big. They are very large pieces. Okay. See if I can find a spot that makes sense. Okay. So maybe I'll do something like this. I like that. All right, so, and then what I will do is I will add to this. This will be the base, and then I'll add to this. Okay, let's do that. Ugh. I'm using Mod Podge. You can use a glue stick. I've done both. So it's your preference. And you could just do one pattern if you want. You don't have to do multiple. You just wanted to do the one, this one, and that's it. And cool. Sorry, guys. Now we let it dry again. So I'm going to let this dry, and then when I come back, it'll be the final step, which is just sewing around it. Again, that's what I'm doing. You don't have to do that. If you're not sewing, then once this dries, you're done with the cover. Unless you want to add anything additional to the cover beforehand, but if not, you're all set. And that should be a cover, one signature that you can use. But we'll come back once this dries. Okay, guys, so it is dry now, and I went ahead and cut the excess off, and then I also went ahead and sewed around the edges of the cover. So you can see there, I did a little bit of sewing just once around the edge. Now, what I also did was just to add a little bit of extra support, because this back part was a little shorter. What I did was I sewed obviously on the edge, and then I sewed on this inner edge too. And that's our cover. That's it. I think that I'm also going to round the corners on this one. Oh, it's a little tough. And so whenever I do my, I rounded the covers on my other one too. Huh. Okay. One other thing that I can do is distress it maybe a little bit. This is just a vintage photo. So just going to go around the edges, give it a little bit of distressing. And from here, obviously, the sky's the limit as to what you can do, right? I think here's where the distressing will really be noticeable. More on the white part. All right. Now I'm not going to do the eyelet just yet, but I will have 2 eyelets there so that I can pick a closure. But I'm not doing that just yet because I need to do my inners. But this is the process that I followed to make a junk journal cover for a single signature junk journal, sewing pattern themed. This sewing pattern was from 1981. Yep, 1981. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, this is very simple process that I used when I made this one, which I have a video that I'm linking to the flip through of that video. And maybe I will do a video of putting the papers together, picking what papers, and then the finalizing this journal. But this was the process to actually make the cover itself using one of these envelopes, which is what I used. But you can use anything really to make a cover that you might have. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments, leave them down below. And thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you watching. And if you are new here and this is something that interests you, consider subscribing. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you. Bye.